Hello. The purpose of this video is to provide a basis for understanding best practices in designing a gradebook. We will be looking at actual gradebooks of teachers used in previous years. The student information is not real, but the assignments, point values, and categories accurately reflect real gradebooks. Each gradebook was pulled from the second 9 weeks and the ELA tab. Recall that formative is about measuring learning that is in progress, whereas summative is a measure at the end of the learning process. Formative assessments are shaded yellow, and summative assessments are shaded green. The first example contains 2 kindergarten gradebooks. The first gradebook only has 6 assignments for this 9 weeks. Each assignment is worth the same amount, 3 points. Every assignment is formative, so there is no actual 60-40 weighting. Without any summative assignments, the gradebook will tally the number of points possible during this 9 weeks. 6 assignments times 3 points each means a total of 18 points is possible. This particular student earned 13 of the 18 possible points, which resulted in a 72%. The second kindergarten gradebook is set up much differently. There are 10 assignments. There are 8 formatives and 2 summatives. Each assignment is worth a different point value. Since there are only 2 summatives, and summatives are 60% of the total grade, each of those assignments is worth 30% of the total grade. They are worth an equal amount of points. Both are based out of 10. Even though the student earned a 7 out of 10 on the second summative, a score of a 4 out of 10 on the first summative is very detrimental to the overall grade. That 4 out of 10 is an F, and it is 30% of this kindergartner's total grade. Notice in the formative assessments that there is a wide variety of points possible for each assignment. 2 assignments are related to naming uppercase and lowercase letters, both worth 26 points. However, the assignment next to the gradebook is a small group reading assignment worth 5 points. 26 points is about 5 times as much as 5 points. So in this gradebook, naming lowercase letters has 5 times the impact as the small group reading assignment. Naming uppercase letters has about 5 times the impact as the small group reading assignment. If the teacher feels this proportion of the grade is accurate and in line with the curriculum, then this type of gradebook setup would be fine. However, if the teacher realizes that a small group reading activity is a more important measure of learning, he or she should adjust the points possible for the assignments. Let's look at first grade examples. In these 2 examples, one teacher has far more assignments than the other. Additionally, the top teacher has only 1 summative, which means 60% of the student's grade will be attributed to that 1 assignment. For this student, who earned a 7 out of 10 on it, it will be almost impossible to get anything other than a C for this 9 weeks because of the influence of that 1 summative. The student earned almost all perfect scores on the formative assessments, yet the final grade is a solid C because of the 1 summative assessment. The second teacher has all formative assessments except 1. The blue assignment is a diagnostic, which does not count toward the grade. This gradebook would calculate just like the first kindergarten gradebook we looked at, where there is no 60-40 weighting because no summatives exist. Now let's take a look at second grade examples. The first teacher has a similar setup to a few we have seen. There are only 2 summative assessments. Again, each of these assessments will impact 30% of the total grade. The second teacher set up the assignment so that every assignment was worth 100 points. He or she likely converted every assignment to a percentage score. As a result, every formative assessment has an equal impact, and every summative assignment has an equal impact. There are 4 summatives, which is above the recommended best practice of 3. If you were to glance at all of these assignments and summarize what type of student this was, you might conclude that this is a B student. The summatives are all high C's or solid B's. Many of the formatives are B's or better. There are 30 formative assessments. This is probably more than is necessary to summarize the student's performance with a final grade, but it isn't necessarily problematic to have a lot of formatives. because there are so many formatives, each one counts as a total of 1.3% of the total grade, which isn't much. The 4 summatives count as 15% of the student's total grade. In 3rd grade, things change a bit. The report card is different and the expectations change with the addition of state testing. For the first example of a 3rd grade gradebook, notice that there are 3 summatives as recommended. Take a close look at the points possible for each of these. One of the summatives is worth 100 points. Another is worth 4 points. It's easy to make a district assessment worth 100 points since the score comes as a total percentage. It's also easy to assign a district writing prompt a possible 4 points since it's graded on a 4-point rubric. However, this student earned an F in this class largely due to the district assessment, which carries so much weight because it's worth 100 points. The second example shows a more balanced approach to the 3 summatives. The denominators are not equal, but the district assessment is out of 35 compared to the other 2 assessments that are worth 10. So for this example, the district assessment has 3 times the impact as the 2 unit assessments, but it is not as drastic as comparing 100-point assignment to a 4-point assignment. Let's take a look at 2 4th grade examples. The first teacher gave the district writing prompt and counted it as a formative worth 6 points. The second teacher also gave the district writing prompt and counted it as a formative but made it worth 10 points. They also both gave the reading interim assessment during the same week in November. Both counted it as summative, but one counted it out of 32 and the other out of 34. Both students scored the same thing on the writing prompt. They each earned half of the possible points. And both students earned the same score on the district interim reading test, a high C. However, look at the student outcomes in the end. The grades differ by 2 letter grades because of the influence on the number of formatives and how the students performed on those. The second teacher has far more opportunities for the students to influence their grade through formatives than the first teacher does. In 5th grade, the first teacher only has 1 summative assessment. This assessment is a district interim and is calculated as 60% of the student's grade. The student did very poorly on the assessment, earning 15 out of 32 points. Despite many other good grades on formatives, the student barely makes a D overall because of the 1 summative. And in the second example, there are only 8 total assignments and only 1 is summative. The teacher weighted this assignment 2 times, which you can see in the assignment window noted as 32 times 2. However, that double weighting makes no difference because it's the only summative assignment. Finally, let's take a look at a gradebook with a good structure. This teacher has 4 summative assessments. This is beyond the number suggested and helps to give a full picture of the student's abilities. Notice that the denominators are all relatively similar within the formative and summative categories. Look also at the formative assessments. They are all worth similar points, so the impact of each formative is similar to the others. This gradebook is set up in a way that reflects good practices in grade calculation. The number of assessments or the name of the assignments are not being evaluated for our purposes today, only the structure for final grade calculations. It is expected that some amount of variation would occur in gradebooks like we saw in each of the grade levels we just looked at. Teachers use a different number of assessment, different point values for assessment, and different designations of formative versus summative. Many PLCs use the same assignments and philosophy about grading, and this type of collaboration is encouraged. Teachers are the best source of understanding how to report what students have learned, and the gradebook should be a tool that makes that task easier and manageable. However, I hope that what you have seen today reinforces the need to have a solid understanding of how a gradebook should be set up to ensure that reporting of student learning is accurate. Here are some best practices in setting up and managing your gradebook. Choose point values for assignments that make sense. If a writing prompt is a rubric based on 4 points, and naming letters is worth 26 points, but you believe the writing prompt shows an equally valuable amount of learning, then make the point values similar and adjust your grading based on the total possible points. Make sure you don't overly influence the overall grade with only 1 or 2 assignments. The best way to do this is to make sure there are at least 3 assignments in both the formative and summative categories. Choose formative and summative categories based on the purpose of the assignment. Formative measures learning while instruction is occurring. Summative measures learning at the end of instruction. Collaborate with your team. Share best practices and talk about philosophy. Finally, you are the best judge of a student's learning. Talk to your school leadership when you have questions about how to best reflect a student's progress, even if your gradebook tool isn't reflecting what you know about the student. Remember, grading is about reporting student learning. The grades you report are a helpful way for parents, students, and other educators to know the level of learning the student has achieved in the course. If you'd like to download the spreadsheet that was used today in this video, you can find it on the district website. Click on Departments, select Assessment and Accountability in the Instructional Services Division. In the Resources section, you'll find a link to Gradebook Practice. This will take you to a page where you can download the spreadsheet used in today's video. Thank you for your time today. I hope you have a fantastic school year.